Part 2 is here!
If I'm right about this, the sheet of paper this piece came from is...
TikTok!
I knew it! It fits perfectly with the note we found hidden on Hifumi.
In his pants! You don't want to touch the... You know where it's been! It could have been on the alter ego screen!
Oh god.
Then Taka's scrap and Hifumi's note.
Yup. They're from the same piece of paper.
Hifumi had the note meant for Taka, while Taka's corpse still grasped a small piece of that note. There's only one way to explain it.
Taka died clutching the note. Hifumi tried to free the note from his death grip, leaving behind only one small scrap. Did I get all that right?
That means Hifumi knew the note was important.
Exactly. Which proves that he was an accomplice in the murder.
Whoa. Yeah. After seeing all this, Hifumi was super involved in this whole thing for sure. In fact, he was behind the whole thing. In fact, he's still alive!
Sorry, no. When we found him in the repository, the second body discovered...
No, but he went alive!
So then, who killed Hifumi?
Whoever did is the mastermind, the true killer.
He was killed in the repository. So he must have been killed not long after transporting Taka's body.
So, he must have been killed after Taka's body vanished, but before we found both bodies in the repository.
During that time, we'd all split up and were searching for Taka's missing body. In other words, during that time, none of us have alibi.
Wait, but me and Sakura were together.
Stop trying to steal the spotlight, you stupid walrus!
That's not nice!
Who do you call a walrus?
Anyway, when they were killed bothers me too. But there's something that's been bothering me even more.
And what might that be?
The weapon they used to kill Hifumi.
The weapon?
Yeah, because I mean, according to the Monokuma file, the way Taka and Hifumi were killed was almost the same, with them having similar fractures and all. But Justice Hammer 3 and 4 were still laying around in the nurse's office and equipment room, right? So if Hifumi was killed in the repository, the culprit would have had to grab one of the hammers, kill Hifumi, then put the hammer back where they found it.
No, they could have just used one of the clean hammers.
But
and washed off the blood.
Seriously risky for him?
I'm surprised. It seems there's some semblance of a brain knocking around that skull of yours after all.
Hell yeah, it's packed in there good and tight.
He's right though.
His skull must be really small.
The Monokuma file makes it clear that they were killed using similar instruments. But if the hammers were already laying around those other rooms...
So the question is, how could the culprit have gotten their hands on either of the hammers?
They were killed in the room with all the hammers, though. You just have to wash one of them off.
Personally, I haven't a clue.
So which hammer was used to attack Celeste? Number 1 or number 2?
Those were...
How about
accounted for
number
in other
0?
rooms, too. And I don't think either one is big enough to kill someone.
Number 0 is that, like, midget hammer.
Then...
Is it not possible they used a different weapon?
No.
I don't think it is possible. They were both killed with the same kind of thing, right?
So then, what was used to kill Hifumi?
Come on, I know what it is! This video is going to be very short.
What was used to kill Hifumi? Was it Justice Hammer 3? Maybe Justice Hammer 4?
We're including that.
Whatever it was, there's one thing we have to figure out. How was the culprit able to move around so freely with the weapon? How did nobody witness them carrying it? Sounds like a Justice Hammer 5 is about to make its appearance! Check out murdergear.com/hammertime for more info!
Well, one thing seems pretty clear.
Well, he'll look
The
that up for
murder
you.
weapon had to be one of the Justice Hammers! And...
No!
That's about it.
No!
What was used? Was it just maybe Justice?
Well, there's one
that right?
the culprit. How did nobody...
Sounds like a Justice. Check out murdergear.com.
Well, what? The murder weapon had to be one of the...
No!
Ah! That hurts. That hurts.
The murder weapon wasn't a justice hammer at all. No, it was something completely different.
But, seriously? A different weapon?
Specifically, a hammer from the repository. The killer could have easily used that to kill Hifumi. Now, all the hammers in the repository were covered, but for some reason, one of them had been scrubbed clean.
Huh?
And the reason it had been scrubbed clean was most likely because it was used to commit murder. If the hammer got covered in Hifumi's blood, of course they'd have to clean it off. I'd also like to point out that the repository has all kinds of hammers. Big ones, small ones, and even some flat mallet-like ones. I think whoever made the justice hammers used those as a basis for their design.
If that's true, that would explain the Monokuma file's note about the wounds being similar.
So Hifumi moved Taka's body to the repository, where someone then used a hammer to kill him.
And whoever did that is the true killer. The one Hifumi was working with. And the one who betrayed him.
Oh, that's what the ebook's for! Oh!
Wait, what?
I now remember what the ebook was for.
Oh yeah.
I know what it was for. You know what it is too.
Yeah, I do.
Hold on a moment. I still think it's strange to assume someone was working together with him. The way the graduation rule works, there is no benefit to helping someone else carry out a murder. So the idea that anyone would work together like that is simply ludicrous. We talked about this, did we not? Based on the rules that have been laid out for us, even if more than one person is complicit in the murder, only the one who actually carried out the act can graduate and survive. Assuming the rule holds true, it is simply impossible that two people work together on this.
That is how the rule was explained to us.
But that only really applies if there's one murder, right? In this case, however, there were two murders.
Ah.
Based on the rules that have been, even if more than one, only the one who actually, assuming
The rule holds true. No, that's wrong. Since there were two murders, it's at least plausible that more than one person was involved.
What do you mean?
If there'd only been one murder, then yes, the idea of an accomplice isn't really worth considering. Naturally, if only one person can be saved per murder, an accomplice has no risk versus reward benefit.
Risk versus reward benefit?
The payoff for working together. The reward that balances out the risk of taking part in a scheme. There's no point in being someone's accomplice if there's no benefit to you. However, if there were some potential mutual reward for the risk, then cooperation becomes possible.
You're saying that two people could act as each other's accomplices to commit two separate murders.
I think that's what the true killer told Hifumi. They would each have an accomplice for their crime, and based on the case's events, Hifumi would have been the first one to act, murdering Taka. They made him carry out the first murder so he couldn't back out of helping them later on.
So in this case, there wasn't one single person committing multiple murders. Instead, each person killed someone, creating two separate incidents. And it only looked like one person because that's how the true killer designed it to look. A single suspicious individual, a similar weapon used in each crime, disappearing bodies. By creating one seamless set of circumstances, they made it look like one person was behind it all.
The mastermind picked their target and managed to convince him to go along with their plan. And then, to avoid the no accomplices rule, they simply killed their accomplice. Which, if true, means that betraying Hifumi was part of the plan from the very beginning.
That's sad.
that's just awful. How could anyone be so cruel?
You think so? I can't help but admire its cunning. Still, their choice of accomplice seems odd.
Hello. Too amazing.
I understand how an accomplice could be involved, But then, who was the one pulling Hifumi's strings?
That's problem numero uno right now.
What? Wait.
Select someone.
Is it the one? Is it who I think it is?
I don't know, is it?
Isn't it Kyoko then?
I don't know, is it?
Just give me a fucking response because we don't have all night, man.
No, it's not Kyoko.
Just give me something. Come on.
It's a her.
What?
I said it's a her.
Here's my answer.
Fuck you!
So I'm the suspicious individual now, am I? I really do hate this kind of joke.
A joke? I wonder.
So what you are saying then is that I specifically chose to work together with Hifumi. The idea that I would choose to spend any amount of time interacting with him, that I would go within 10 feet of that shit for brains, that lazy, worthless, goddamn idiot!
Oh, here we go!
Pardonnez-moi.
Just to be clear, there is.
She's
evidence
breaking,
to
man!
support
The brothership is working!
Is that so?
It is. Throughout the investigation, there was certain behavior that was common only to the two of you. Considering what we've learned so far, it only further proves that the two of you were working together.
Why is he pointing away from her?
Because he only knows how to point forward.
I got it!
Yep.
The behavior they had in common has to do with the suspicious individual in the suit, doesn't it? The only ones who ever actually saw Robo Justice firsthand were Celeste and Hifumi.
Shush. The adults are talking now.
Fuck you.
Sorry.
As he said, only
Fuck
Celeste
you.
and Hifumi ever laid eyes on the costumed individual. If we accept that Hifumi was one of the culprits, we can't help but suspect what Celeste has said as well.
Are you saying everything they told us was a lie?
After taking Hifumi to the nurse's office, we all began our search for this individual, correct? And not too long after that, do you remember what Celeste said? We headed to the second floor specifically because of what she claimed to have seen. Next, to draw us all to the physics lab up on the third floor,
She let out a blood-curdling scream.
and when we'd all come to see what was wrong, what was it she said? Once she'd done her job of getting us all up to the physics lab, it was time for her partner to get to work.
It was to get us to divide into two groups, so that we would discover both bodies at the same time?
In fact, Celeste was precisely the one who proposed that we split up. Well, if Celeste and Hifumi were working together, all those chance events suddenly become connected. And on top of that, that piercing cry of yours early on. That was to signal Hifumi, wasn't it? It was your way of telling him, we're on the third floor, everything's going according to plan. Why else would you let out a scream that could have carried across the sea?
I just realized another strange thing. When we found Hifumi in the nurse's office, who we now know was only pretending to be dead, Celeste, you were the first one to say he'd been murdered. You wanted to make sure we wouldn't have any doubt in our mind.
I don't believe it.
I can't believe it!
The whole thing was one big act.
Hina, you were with Celeste when Hifumi's body disappeared, right?
Yeah. I was feeling kinda sick, so Celeste took me to the bathroom. Wait! Then that was...
She wasn't worried about you. She just saw a chance to help Hifumi sneak out of the nurse's office.
Each piece isn't much by itself, but start putting them together and the picture gets very ugly indeed. Wouldn't you agree, Celeste?
I have no idea what you mean.
And now he doesn't say any shit about us that we're helping. Fuck you.
Don't bother trying to deny it. You made one fatal mistake.
Oh, did I?
I didn't even catch it myself when you first said it. But looking back, I can say that that one little slip-up was your undoing.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about what you said after Hifumi's body disappeared and we returned to the nurse's office.
I remember saying that too.
How would you know that the other person's dead?
Don't understand what's so...
Then pay attention. Sakura, then Makoto showed up and told us if once we were in the hall, Now, the entire time we were together, none of us said anything about Taka being dead. Think about it. Celeste's comment doesn't make sense. It was completely out of place.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about. Although I don't really get what it means.
You hear that, Celeste? Everyone's having some trouble understanding. Could you repeat what you said? If you're really not the culprit, you shouldn't have any problem repeating it, right?
It's so easy!
I told you it was so much easier than before.
All I said was... They must really be enjoying this. Enjoying the sight of us standing around, frightened and confused. They must be positively elated. We are all going to die here. We are going to die, just like those guys died.
That's
And
what I need to
that is all I
shoot.
said.
And that's all it takes to finish this. What was so strange about Celeste's comment?
That's right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you don't have to be a dick about it. I already know what it is.
Enjoying the sight of us. They must be... We are all going to... We are going to die.
Just like those...
No, it's wrong.
So freaking.
That's right. There's no reason Celeste should have said, just like those guys died.
It's how Manda fucked himself over with the blue jacket.
When she said that, none of us had told her Taka was dead.
Exactly. And we didn't run into her until after we were all out in the hall. So there was never any chance for her to have seen his body in the equipment room for herself.
So how did you know, Celeste? How did you know more than one person had been killed? And how did you know they were both guys? Because Kyoko had also disappeared, right? So she could have been dead too.
She's losing it, man.
You all have such vivid imaginations.
Hey,
You know that?
Jarmank, she's breaking, man.
I know.
Imaginations.
You claim that I was lying when I told you about the suspicious person I saw.
What about my photo that I clearly photoshopped? I mean, he looked nervous. I mean, that's easy when you're both accomplices, and Hiro was frickin' asleep.
Then what about the picture I took? How do you explain?
It has to be some... So let's put the suit on.
No, she put the suit on you and you were asleep.
Have you so quickly forgotten? Plus, I happen to know that this particular camera does not have a timer. In other words, it is an unassailable fact that this is a picture of Hifumi being dragged away. If everything I told you was a lie, how can this picture exist?
Set up.
Simple. Are we sure that's really a picture of the suspect dragging Hifumi away?
What could you possibly mean by that?
Surely there are other explanations than the one you've offered up.
No, there is no other explanation.
That's the...
No, what explanation? I don't know what you're talking about. Hifumi and the suspect are dancing, clearly.
I got it!
He's dragging him away.
It's not a picture of the suspect dragging Hifumi away. I would say it's a picture of Hifumi dragging the suspect away.
That's certainly within the realm of possibility. The one being dragged off in that picture isn't Hifumi, but the person in the robot suit. We've simply been led to believe that it's the other way around. And the strange costume might only exist to lead us astray even farther. If you saw someone wearing something like that in this situation, of course you'd notice and be suspicious.
That's what happened! You put me to sleep and made me out to be the bad guy in all this!
Such a thing
And now she goes crazy.
is utterly impossible. Hifumi was dragging him away? Ridiculous.
Is it? I don't think it's ridiculous at all.
Then shut your mouth and allow me to educate you.
Oh. Is this panic time? No. Is there another panic time?
No.
There's only one per trial, right?
You dressed me up in that suit after I passed out!
The fuck?
Then you just draped me across Hifumi and had him carry my weight! You tried to make me look like the bad guy!
Panic times.
Like I said, ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
Wait, what did you say again?
I said, about the trials? Yeah, there's two on, like...
But you said something about the second game.
No, I didn't.
If the person inside the suit was unconscious, there's no way they could stand up straight like that.
Then the fortune-telling idiot is the culprit after all!
No way!
This has to do something with the blueprints, right?
I had to do something with the costume.
Fuck you!
You dressed me up in that suit after I passed out! Then you just draped me across Hifumi. You tried to make me look...
Like I said, as you can see in the picture, if the person in... There's no way they
Could stand up straight like...
No, that's wrong.
Because it was built like that.
Yes.
No. Even if the person inside the suit were unconscious, they could still stand up like that.
I didn't realize that we had a bullet for the costume. Because I would have, I'm like, the blueprints show that it can't bend it.
Because that Robo-Justice suit had a certain characteristic.
That's right! They totally made a mistake when they made it, so it couldn't bend at the waist.
I'm not so sure that was a mistake. I think the suit was designed from the beginning to be used the way it was.
Damn! That face! That face!
Celeste and Hifumi took the suit they'd specially designed and stuffed Hiro into it. That's how they were able to fake that whole thing. The point of it all was to make us believe whoever was in the suit was to blame.
Well then, I suppose this is checkmate.
Checkmate?
This is where she goes off edge.
Oh no!
Don't make me laugh, you idiot! What do you mean, checkmate?
Celeste?
Clearly, you want to cram me into your little guilty box. Well, there's one little problem.
Have you already forgotten what Hifumi told us as he lay dying? When we asked him who had attacked him, his answer was...
She's crazy!
Was it not? He said, and I quote, Yasuhiro.
In other words, Yasuhiro Hagakure!
Wait! But my name isn't really Yasuhiro! It's actually... Taro!
Your confusing statements don't make any sense. You're only making things more complicated.
He did say Yasuhiro, but are we sure he was really pointing the finger at Hiro?
What the hell are you talking about? I'll burn you alive!
Ironic choice of words!
I know.
Oh my god!
Kyoko, what do you mean by that?
Think back to how did he refer to each of us?
I got it!
It said people last names.
That's right! Our last name!
Exactly. I know I heard him say Mr. Naegi more than once, for example. So if Hifumi did mean to say Hiro's name, he would have said his last name, Hagakure.
I'm sure it was just incidental. By chance, his first name...
Indecent?
Don't talk.
Random chance. Now isn't that a convenient explanation? No. There's no reason to think
Also,
he
he would have remembered her name
because
because he remembered what happened.
But he must have run out of energy before he could say any more.
So Hifumi was trying to tell us the last name of whoever killed him?
But the name he said doesn't apply to anyone here.
Well, no. Hold on. There's one person it could apply to, and that's Celeste. She never actually told us what her real name is.
What did you just say? To think you'd take your false accusation so far, I don't know whether to laugh or spit. Come on! Enough with your idiotic blather. Yasuhiro is a loser's name. Do I look like a loser to you?
You could have switched the name so you appear richer.
Well, do I? What? I think I've earned the right to be a little on edge.
Okay, then fill us in. What's your real name?
Show us your handbook!
Fine. Make sure your ear holes are wide open and listen up! My real name is Celestia Ludenberg. Could you please stop making me repeat myself over and over again?
Oh my god, you spot the word
Hifumi
E
was trying
handbook.
to He wanted us to know the killer's last name.
If there's one person here who might have that...
It would have to be you, Celeste.
How many times do I have to tell you? My name is...
Celestia Ludenberg, god damn it!
How long do you plan to go on pretending?
I'm not pretending. It's the truth. And since you have no
way to contradict me.
No, that's
You
wrong.
gave me the opening I needed!
That's it! The handbook!
What?
Anytime you turn your handbook on, it shows the owner's name when it boots up, right? Monokuma told us all about it before. So all we have to do is check her handbook, and that'll clear up everything. That's how we can find out Celeste's real name.
That's an invasion of privacy. I refuse to cooperate.
Celeste, can you please just tell us what really happened? Please. Just tell us.
Even when I'm put in check, it's just my nature not to give up. Because... Until the game's over, you never know what might happen.
Fine then. Let me settle it. Let me go over the case again. From
Yeah.
the beginning, and shed light on all your crimes.
Let's finish this,
That'll bring
boys!
everything to an end.
I believe you can do this.
Yeah. So they're in his anime room?
This is the rec room, pretty sure.
No.
I'm not.
That's his room, that's the floor that...
This fact doesn't matter, trust me.
No, but that's his room. It was Justice Hammer 2 or 3?
For which one?
The Hifumi one.
3.
You sure about that?
Yeah, because remember he did 3 to make it look like he was killed before Taka.
So this was 2, right?
Yeah, that whole library and stuff was 2.
Do we have Hammer 101?
What? Number 1 was against the last.
This one looks like that one. What do you think?
Pass it out.
The killer is you!
I hope this hurries up.
Before anything, the killer persuaded someone to help carry out the murder. And that person was Hifumi. With an accomplice, the killer was able to execute a number of otherwise impossible schemes. First, they convinced someone to meet them in the rec room last night at 1 in the morning. That someone they met with was Hiro. The murderous duo intended to pass Hiro off as the prime suspect. So when they met up with him, they drugged him, knocked him out, and stuffed him into the Robo Justice suit. Next, Hifumi positioned himself to make it look like Robo Justice was attacking him, while the killer used a digital camera to take pictures of the assault. They did all this just to create evidence that would put the suspicion on Hiro. When they were done with him, they shoved him, still unconscious, into the pool room locker. And then finally, at 6 a.m., they moved into the murder phase of their plan. They called Taka to the equipment room. And that's where Hifumi killed him, making it the scene of the first murder. The murder weapon was Justice Hammer 4, which was left there in the equipment room. The reason Hammer number 4 was used was to create confusion about the order of the crimes. So, next for these attacks, the killers pretended to be the victims, to solidify Robo Justice as the suspect. The first fake incident was the attack in the rec room. There, the killers wanted us to see Justice Hammer 1, and the Robo Justice pictures they'd taken. They wanted to make sure we bought the surprise attack story. The second fake incident was the attack in the library. This time, they planted Justice Hammer 2, and an injured Hifumi, to sell us that story. With these two incidents, the killers were able to create a certain preconception in our mind that the suspect was increasing the size of the hammers and attacking people in order as they did. We fell right into their trap and started looking for the suspect based on that. While we did that, we left Hifumi alone in the nurse's office. This was exactly what Hifumi was hoping for. He took a blood packet from the refrigerator and Justice Hammer 3 and turned the room into a crime scene, in which he himself had apparently been brutally murdered. He let out a scream to draw us back, and when we returned, that's what we found. Meanwhile, the other group that had been out searching found Taka's body at the same time. So when we heard the body discovery announcement, we naturally assumed it was for Hifumi. We left the nurse's office, and Hifumi once again took advantage of the situation. He simply got up and made his escape. When we learned his body had disappeared, we all rushed back to the nurse's office, and once again, Hifumi had the chance he was waiting for. This time, he snuck into the equipment room. He wrapped Taka's body in a tarp and used the dolly to move it all the way down to the repository. That explains how each of the bodies disappeared. But even Hifumi didn't know what the true killer had in mind
look
for
at
the
him.
final act.
He's like, yeah, I did it.
Their plan all along was to kill Hifumi and get rid of the one person who could betray them. And they did it using an ordinary, everyday hammer from the repository. That should cover everything that happened in this case. And the villain behind it all is...
Mwah.
Celeste. Sorry, you lose.
I lost? I lost? When was the last time I was forced to utter such words? They hang heavy around my neck.
Then you admit it? You're the killer?
Yep.
Listen to you, trying to take charge, as if you're my private instructor. I, Celestia Ludenberg. Actually, no, Taiko Yasuhiro is fine.
Taiko?
So, you finally accepted it.
I'm the kind of person, once I've lost, I don't like things to drag on.
Interesting.
Oh. Hey, 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 hey.
Hey.
Alright, let's take a screenshot for that. 80 medals. Alright.
It's only because you're on kind.
Okay, Monokuma.
Yeah, but you
I'm
got
ready to
90
begin.
on hard, so it's not really that much.
Well, that's because it was the Leon one.
Or, no, I suppose this is the end, isn't it?
In the final trial, if you do it on
It
the
is
regular
indeed
one,
the
and you're
moment
like,
we've all
okay,
been waiting
then go
for.
over, like,
Time
2
to
levels
vote.
later.
Oh, if you would, please locate your lever and cast your vote. And when the votes are tallied, who will become the blackened? Will you make the right choice or the dreadfully wrong one?
Alright, after the execution, I gotta end it because I need to really take a shit.
I need to go make dinner, I guess.
Dinner?
I mean, dude, I woke up at 3. It's practically dinner for me.
What?
Alright, I gotta end it here. Thanks guys for watching. The execution will be next episode. It'll be probably a very short one. But I'll see you in a bit.